Thanks for joining me, Dan here. I started this painting the day before. Let me turn it around. Sorry about that. I don't know why my video quit. I have a photograph here that I'm working from that I took downtown last Wednesday. Just printed it off on plain paper there. And I am delighted to be getting back to work on this painting. I'm liking the way it's going. So I want to keep going. Okay, I was saying it's a nice place to be as an artist is when you've got a piece of artwork in progress, and you're really anxious to get back to it because you're happy with it. That's a really good feeling, and that's the way I felt with this painting the last couple of days. I like the way this is going. I'd rather paint than watch football on this American Saturday afternoon, weekend after Thanksgiving. I'd rather paint than be out shopping. There's a surprise. And I've decided that the place that I want to take up right now is a lot of the top part of the painting is coming along very well, and just needs a tiny bit of work. All of this stuff down here is very nondescript, so really, it's kind of what the word is, irritating a little bit. And sometimes, and I don't mean that in a serious way, I don't mean I'm all grumpy or anything, but it's just like, okay, I feel like I can't really proceed with this painting until I get some of this stuff down here. So see that, and that's too much. Always feel free to paint with your fingers if you're not using CADs or Cobalts. If you are, think about it. Think twice before you paint with your fingers. And also, I don't like painting with latex gloves, but there's all different kinds of ways to tackle the issue. Some very fine painters I know paint with latex gloves. Yes, Izzy. Oh, are they talking to me? Oh, good. My son Israel just came into my studio, and my grandson Izzy just came in my studio and said, "Big guy," that's my name. It's Big Guy. There's people talking to me. Good, thank you, Izzy. I will get your comments later. I'm getting better at learning how to do that, so I will be sure to look at your comments before I finish this episode. Thanks for commenting. So I've got just pretty much a neutral gray here on my brushes. White, titanium white, ultramarine, tiny bit of phthalo because I want a little bit of cooler gray and some oxide red. So again, pretty neutral, fairly neutral gray. And want to make this stuff look a little bit like concrete, don't you think? A little bit like a sidewalk. But I'm this everything that I'm doing now could certainly have been done, and technically should have been done during my fuzz layer when I do translucent local color, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm doing the local color, which means the actual color of the object, which is in this case a gray sidewalk. But I still want, in this case, like the purple underpainting to show through. I want texture. I want interesting things to show through. I think it's probably the biggest, characteristic of my painting. I'm very much liking the way my tree is looking up there when I came back to it today and said, "Ooh, nice tree." And what's nice about it is the layers and layers and layers of color create what very much looks like a tree. But when you look at it up close, you really do see and notice, wow, it's just layers and layers and layers of mostly opaque and translucent. Oh, this guy's got legs. There's a man sitting. Okay, you're telling me the static is back. That is, let me try to fix that. In fact, I'm going to stop and broadcast. No. Hang on. I am so sorry about that. I think I know what to do to fix it, which is plug in power. A little dismaying. The battery should not be worn down. I'm plug it in anyway. Okay, if the static is bad right now, I'm going to have to take a pause, take a break and fix it. Let me zoom into just what I was doing right here in the last few minutes. The lattice in the back of this bench, that's what I call a repeated motif in my subject matter, a pattern that happens again and again, right? The squares. What I want to teach about that is when, let me get it so it'll stay there. Hang on. Sorry for the earthquake. Okay. Is whenever you have a repeated motif like this, mullions in windows are common when you're doing architecture, are a typical example. Branches on a tree, repeated motif. Bricks in a building. Whenever you have what I'm calling repeated motif, you need to come up with several different techniques for rendering that repeated pattern. In other words, you mustn't do the same thing. Like the most obvious thing, wrong thing to do, we'd take a small brush with dark paint and go, me, got it? Stroke, and then stroke. No, that would be, in my opinion, very bad. You need to come up with different methods for rendering this repeated pattern. So I'm already well on my way because I've done this pattern one time in acrylics with bold, loose, dark strokes, and then I've at least once, and then come back now and done oil holes, light colored holes where the holes are. Now I'm going to go back the other way and do the dark stripes yet again. So I'm mixing up some dark, and class, tell me if I'm mixing up a dark color, tell me, does the mix have any white in it? Of course not. What an absurd thought. Why would you put white in a dark color? Well, the reason students do it is because they say, well, I don't want totally dark, so I put a little bit of white in it so it's not so dark. Wrong impulse. That is where mud comes from. Anyway, enough of that. I've given that lecture many, many times, and I'll give it yet again, but that's enough for right now. If you want to see the rest of that lecture, back out of this, go to YouTube and do a search for Dan Nelson Mud, and you'll find about a 10 or 11 minute video where I demonstrate very clearly and describe very clearly what mud is. It is the misuse of opacity. Way too many people don't know that. Okay, so now again, so I've done some checkerboard, crisscross here, right? Yes. It would be a mistake if I carried that, if I just kept going. That it would become an irritation to the viewer. I'm doing a little bit more over here. Oh, and I'm going to do some. You guys, I'm so sorry. Evidently, it keeps saying my app keeps turning off. Don't know why. No sound. Oh my goodness. Well, let me look at your comments and finish out this episode. I'm sorry for the technical problems. I'll try to fix them before I come back. But let's see what you have said. So I see that. I hear static. Audio's messed up. Audio is bad. Thank you, Jane. Yes, you're right. I think that was it. Okay, so I'm plugged in now. Thank you for the heads up about that. I'm going to stop here, and I'll be back in a few minutes and make sure that my sound problems are rectified. Thanks, folks.